The only thing we have to fear is beer itself.
Beer. So many choices.
Only no function beer well without.
Woohoo! Beer!
Hello and welcome to another episode of Beer Busters, where we're going to bring you the news and reviews of some wonderful brews. My name is Dan Baker, joined, as always, by my co-host and brewologist,
Steph Hefner,
and our fermentertainer,
Wayne Baker.
Now, apparently Wayne turned into a robot.
or a zombie.
Or a zombie, or maybe a robot zombie. Zombie robot? I don't know. Well, we are on location today. I cut you off. We're on location. And we've already had an eventful evening so far, a very fun evening. We had a tour of a hop farm. We had a home-cooked meal, which was awesome. So any future guests, you have a home-cooked meal that you have to top, just saying. But we're on location with some folks that were kind enough to welcome us into their home, which is where they have their hop farm. We have with us
Adam Dellinger.
And Diana Dellinger.
Thank you guys for having us out here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm trying not to say the word. I'm trying not to say the word. I'm almost there. But we have somebody else with us who now... Last time we had Adam on the show. Adam was a surprise guest for our episode at Molly Pitcher, but we have with us
Zachary Ziegler,
who is returning the favor to Adam and bombing this episode. But it's cool.
I think he just wanted the free meal. To be
yeah, pretty much.
Came for food
and he's like,
beer.
"Oh, there's beer on the table. Okay, I'll stay."
Oh yeah, might as well stay.
And books about hops.
Yes,
Heard
can't forget
about
the books about hops, of course. But happy to have you here with us then, Zach, too.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. Now, we have a sipping beer.
Thank you.
Steph has really wanted a beer since before dinner.
It's been sitting here too.
Yeah, so what is the sipping beer that we have?
So this is a home brew brewed with Sunnybrae cluster hops. It's nothing but basically two-row and those cluster hops for bittering and aroma and dry hopping.
It's good. You get almost like a lemon flavor from the hops,
like it is. It's
which
citrusy,
is really
it's nice and
pleasant.
refreshing. It's nice to wash down that delicious home cooked meal we had. Yes, it is.
For sure.
And
Are you pleased with it? Because this is you said a homebrew, but this is your homebrew.
Yeah,
Yes.
own up.
This is hops grown on the farm and home brewed on the farm.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. It's a little sweet, it's floral, it's nice.
Now we can talk a little bit more about this later, but I do have one question. Do you plan to make beers like this with a base malt of just two-row to showcase the hops so that people can get an idea of what your hop can do for their beer in the finished process?
Yeah, absolutely. We started that last year by doing a Cascade Smash, which Smash is single malt and single hop.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll do the exact same thing through this winter time, basically, with all the hops that we've kept from this growing season, both for other people to learn and ourselves as well.
Nice.
I like the floral notes that come out of this and the sweetness. And like you said, they're both there. They complement each other so well. So well. It's nice and refreshing.
And I think the best thing about it is we could look out the window. Now it's starting to get dark now, but you can look out the window and see the hop yard where the hops came from.
Yeah.
To go into this beer, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit of Pennsylvania here in a glass because, I mean, a cluster hop grown in our soil might be completely different than a cluster hop grown in another region, even in Pennsylvania. So it's a great way to learn.
He looked at me right as I took a sip.
Well, I figured it's just a sipping beer, so I figured you'd want to get right into
Oh, it's not the
news.
chugging beer?
Ugh.
Oh, whoops. My bad. My
Every
bad.
beer in front of Dan is the chugging beer.
Shush, all right? It's very rare that I have the DD as well. Rich is
is
driving
true.
me too. So, hey, let it all flow. But we do have a lot to get to. So why don't we do this? So I've got two stories, and Wayne has something he needs to talk about too, which is really cool. But I'm going to go first because I'm talking already. So we all know Matthew McConaughey. We all may or may not have mixed opinions of Matthew McConaughey.
You mean personally? Because I don't know.
Well, no, we know
personally.
of Matthew McConaughey.
The guy
I mean,
from
you
the
guys,
car
like, have his
commercial,
number?
right?
The car commercials, the guy from Contact, the guy who says, all right, all right, all right. He has a brother, which I just learned the other day. His older brother is named Michael, but he goes by Rooster, which should set the tone for this story. He scored a year's supply of Miller Lite because he named his son after the beer. He named his son Miller Lite.
So if somebody ever pays to have a hit on Rooster, the hitman could come and say, I've come to snuff the rooster.
Oh, my God. Yes, they could, as the Alice in Chains song plays. So Rooster is what you would call a Miller Lite superfan. He's always got a can in his hand, even on his new reality series, which is called West Texas Investors Club, which everything I've seen about this show basically described it as the redneck Shark Tank. But of course, it would then not be outlandish that he named his son Miller Lite. Now, he classed it up by spelling Light, L-Y-T-E. So, yeah, exactly. Now,
Did you really class that up? I mean, is there? And if anything, I think that kind of goes in the other direction. If you spell it that way, I think so.
What if he would have spelled it Miller Light, but spelled Light L-I-G-H-T?
This is as bad as Northwest. I'm sorry.
Well,
it would have been a
it's
little
just
more
about-
classy.
Or what about Pilot Inspector and all those other weird names that are? Yeah, Jason Lee's kid is Pilot
Moon
Inspector
Unit
Lee.
Dweezil?
Yep, Moon Unit and Dweezil Zappa. Yep. Now here's the best part. Although young Miller Lite McConaughey is 9 years old now, Miller's parent company, SAB Miller, just found out about the branded name recently. So this kid's had to live with this name already for 9 years. This kid isn't a newborn. So the folks at Miller Lite, they caught wind of Rooster's brand loyalty, they're calling it, and they're sending him 24 cases, which is what they consider to be a year's supply. Now, factoring in that each case then has 24 cans, and if you do the math, that winds up being 576 beers, or an average of 1.5 a day, which if this man, if he drinks as much Miller Lite as we're to believe he does, that's not going to hold him a full year. The McConaughey genes must run strong in young Miller Lite, because when people ask him if he's named after the beer, the 9-year-old responds with, "No, the beer is named after me, according to Dad."
Oh.
Wow.
Long live the McConaughey's.
Wow. I will say, though, there's a little bit of forethought there, because if you leave out the light and just say, my name's Miller, like that's, I could see somebody
That could
being
work,
named Miller.
yeah.
Like that's not.
No, that could work. You're right. So the other article I have before I let Wayne have some more spotlight, according to the Brewers Association, we have officially passed 4,000 breweries in the United States.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Although the precise numbers from the 19th century, when it was also above 4,000, are difficult to confirm, this is almost certainly the first time the United States has crossed the 4,000 brewery barrier since the 1870s. In 1995, there was an article that noted the Internal Revenue Department counted 2830 ale and lager breweries in operation in 1880, which was down from a high of 4,131 in 1873. Now, of course, if you factor in the per capita and the number of breweries, we're going to be at like over 30,000 breweries, considering the population has grown that far. But we are back over the 4,000 mark, which is cool. And there's a lot of other details and honestly kind of boring stuff in this article. What I thought was interesting, though, is at one point, barring Prohibition, the lowest number of breweries we had in the country was around like 38 after Prohibition, maybe about like 15 years afterwards. So to go from, that was probably the 1930s or 40s, to get up to within 75 years or so, to then go to over 4,000.
Well, just even thinking how it was in the early 80s.
Yeah. Yeah, the early 80s, they were, I don't know if this article has an exact number there, but the early 80s, it was a different landscape, to say the least.
It was
Then
a
it
different
is now.
time.
It was a
Yeah.
different time. Yeah.
Can I just point out the amazing freaking lacing that you got? Brewers, if you want your beers to have incredible lacing, you need to consider Sunnybright Cluster hops. Look at this.
It is pretty.
It is
pretty
nice, yeah,
awesome.
it is
actually.
It's pretty. I tried to rinse my glass and it's still covered in lacing. I'm quite impressed. Sorry, I just had
that's fine.
had to put that out there.
No. One thing I like in the article is that if you factor in the strong pace of openings, and right now we're at approximately 2 openings a day with a net increase of 1.9 a day, factoring in closings of other breweries, it's likely that later in 2015 or early 2016, there's going to be more active breweries in the U.S. than at any other point in the nation's history. So Brewers Association is predicting that within the next year, we're going to have an all-time high of open breweries.
That's, I mean, it's cool, but it does smell a bit of a bubble. You know what I mean?
You're
like
right.
It's going to get really crowded in the marketplace.
Well,
I don't think it matters how many. My concern is they're not all good.
Right, that's the thing. You want to go for quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the guy who wrote the article, whose name honestly I don't have on here when I copied and pasted, he writes for Brewers Association, and he recently wrote about passing the 3,000 mark. And when he wrote that, he wanted to include the same quote. Now that we crossed 4,000, so what it does not mean is that we've reached a saturation point. Most of the new entrants continue to be small and local, operating in neighborhoods or towns. What it means to be a brewery is shifting back toward an era when breweries were largely local and operated as a neighborhood bar or restaurant. So while if you look at a nationwide basis, yes, we may have a saturation issue. When you break it down to local, it's still because it's local, you don't really have the saturation point. Because if you figure, even just in central and eastern Pennsylvania, yeah, we've got a lot, but we know them. We know what there is to offer. We like what there is to offer, and it's not like anybody's trying to come in and push it all. And even so, in the same geographical area, you could have 2 open within a year, but that's not going to oversaturate your local market. That just gets you more excited for it.
And to your point, Steph, about not all of them are good, the more, if they are more locally based, the more local competition there is, the more it will weed out the winners and losers, or the good brewers from the
Yes.
perhaps less than.
However, not everyone should be opening a brewery.
Well, yeah,
Fair enough,
it's still, I will not argue with that about the quality. You're right. Not everybody that knows how to make a homebrew should then upscale to professional and open a brewery in your small town. You definitely want to make sure you have the quality that's there, but I
and the
think
knowledge and the knowledge.
And-
The knowledge
yeah.
is so important. Home
Yeah.
brewing is not commercial brewing. It's a completely different, and you can speak to this, Zach. You know,
Exactly, yeah.
it is a completely different ballgame, and there are things that you just need to understand to make a safe product, to make a quality product, and I'm not going to get on my soapbox. I'm sorry.
you're allowed to get on a soapbox.
You already got 1 foot on there.
I think it's cool that we're over 4,000, and I like that in the near future we could cross an all-time high for the country. I think
it is an exciting time. It's an exciting time
Yes.
for beer drinkers, for sure.
And at the same time, there's a lot more beer drinkers who are becoming educated on what they're drinking.
that's good ancillary benefit to it. Yeah.
There's friends of mine that 5 years ago they didn't know what craft beer was, and today they're coming to my brewery and ordering a beer from us, and I really like IPAs now. Well, you never would have thought that person would be drinking that today.
Yep.
So
One of my favorite quotes on a Beer Busters podcast episode ever was you. Do you know what quote it is?
yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah.
Say it. Do it, please, please.
Miller Lite drinkers, they're not bad people.
I love it.
Oh, but
What about Rooster? Is he a bad person?
No.
I think the jury's out on that one.
Yeah, well, yeah. But I think it's exciting. Wayne, you had something you needed to
Yes,
mention.
I very much want to plug this. For those of you that have been following Beer Busters since at least
Probably about a year ago.
March of this year,
Probably about 6 months ago.
know that we on episode 52, The Brews of Hazard, we had filmmakers Alexis Irvin and Chip Hayden on the podcast, who produced the movie Blood, Sweat, and Beer, which is a film that's about the explosive growth of the craft beer industry, but it follows that through 2 stories. One of a trio of guys opening up the Brew Gentleman in Braddock, Pennsylvania, which was a town that has been depressed since a lot of the industry left, and they had a lot of population decline.
By the way, I think their mayor might be running for like congressman or something.
He should. Their mayor,
Seriously, he's running
who
for a
is in
bigger
this film,
office.
and he is quite the character and
He
an
is
awesome
amazing.
guy.
Anyway.
Well, what's even better about that then too is not only is he a cool guy, but he knows and understands what beer can do for the community.
Hells yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, it follows the 3 relatively young guys. I believe they were 23 years old when they started setting up this brewery to try and, make it an anchor point to turn the town around. And it follows another story of a guy who has a boardwalk brewery who ended up actually getting embroiled in a huge trademark lawsuit. And so the movie follows that as well. Blood, Sweat, and Beer. But the reason we're mentioning it now is because it has now been released on iTunes and other video-on-demand platforms. So they've got official distribution, which is super awesome. It's a great movie. If you love beer, you need to watch it.
If you just like good documentaries.
Yeah,
It's
you like,
so good.
If you like good documentaires, you will enjoy it very much. If you love beer, you might tear up a little bit.
Yes, I
'Cause
did.
it's a
I laughed.
very-
I cried.
Yeah, Steph and I saw a screening in New York when we actually met the filmmakers face to face, because when they were on the podcast, they were on the phone. But awesome guys, and you should definitely check it out. You can go to bloodsweatbeermovie.vhx.tv or just look for it on iTunes. I believe it's on Amazon, all those crazy internet TV movie things.
Or go to our website.
Or go to our website, check out episode 52, check out the article we did from the screening, Blood, Sweat, and Beer movie. Find it, shout it from the rooftops, because I would really like to see these guys succeed, because they're excellent filmmakers, and
Yeah.
it's an
and
awesome
we want
film.
them to make more films.
And we
Absolutely.
want them to make more films.
Steph has something exciting to say too. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Go ahead, Dan.
So we have another sipping beer that we're going to pass around. Now this one, I'll admit I bought a can of this last week, but I haven't tried it yet. But we mentioned it on a previous episode of the podcast, maybe twice. I don't really remember. But the Joe Paterno beer. So I'm glad I finally get to try it, and my first taste is going to be on the show, so I get to talk
And
about
it's
it.
going to be delayed because Wayne is not pouring
Yeah,
his.
I tried. Go ahead, Wayne. It's okay.
I know how much you enjoy vamping.
I do. You're right. You're right. It makes me feel like I actually matter.
So this is a 4.8% Vienna style lager from Duquesne Brewing out of Pittsburgh, and it is called the Duquesne Lager Paterno Legacy Series. But I think some people call it like the Joe Pa beer or 409 or. And 409 is the number of wins he had in his coaching
It should
career.
actually
It's
say
on
it's
the
on the
can.
can,
The
actually.
stats are
Yeah,
on
the
the
can has the stats.
409 wins, 24 bowl victories, 79 All-Americans, 49 academic All-Americans.
And this was flying off the shelves. Duquesne couldn't really keep up with the demand at first, so they were. It's a good problem to have, I guess.
Are people buying it for the beer, though, or for the can? I'm going to say for the can.
I think it's going to be a great tailgating beer.
Yeah, it's definitely it's
They're going
definitely
to be like, don't
poundable.
smash the beer. Don't smash the can. Save
Yeah,
the can.
Yeah, it's definitely poundable. It's not rocking my face off like this is so awesome. I mean, it's a lager.
It's drinkable.
It's certainly drinkable. It's
Slightly
definitely
sweet.
good tailgating.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has the sweetness you'd expect.
I wonder if they made this thinking it would go for tailgating. I wonder if that was like the force behind it.
Well, I mean, given the name of the beer and the idea behind it, I think it's appropriate.
Yeah.
Like this tastes like a beer you would drink if you were one who went to sporting events. You would drink in the parking lot.
Well, plus it's in a can too, so you don't have the issues of glass bottles.
That's true. That's true.
Now, as I mentioned before, the news, we are on location at Sunny Bray, and I am glad to be here, and we're going to have a good night. That's pretty much how it's going to be.
Because Stone Cold said so.
Stone Cold Dan Baker said so. No, I'm glad to be here. You could say that I am stoked to be here. I've got a thesaurus with me again. But I've been thinking about hops lately because I knew we were going to be here, and I know Wayne, you mentioned last time that you have a lot of questions that you want to ask.
I have since forgotten all of them.
I'm sure you'll think of at least a few of them again. But it's interesting to look at the hop farming aspect of it because I don't think enough people appreciate what goes into the beer that we all know and love. And we had Deer Creek on, we were at French Creek before, and I'm glad that we can share this part of the process as well because it all starts here.
It's always cool to take a step past the brewery,
Yeah.
and go a step further back and come to a place like a hop farm or like the malt house,
Right. And not only do you get to really understand the process of it, but you get to see that it can be more on a local level now instead of trying to outsource and get all these crazy hops from God knows where.
The ground.
From
And it's a lot of
Geographically
work.
speaking.
It is a lot
and that's
of
the other thing
work.
too. I know you grow your hops at home.
Yeah, I have 4 binds. He has
I know.
2,000.
It doesn't, but
No, but you're right. Even just having a few binds, it's a lot of work. I mean,
Right.
we always say, oh my gosh, brewing is such hard work. Brewers will dramatize that. And it's true. Brewing is really hard work. It's a dangerous job. But holy mackerel, like preparing these ingredients, that's the hard work.
Yep, you are exactly right. So my question then would be, it's a
little bit of
related
tangent.
tangent. My question then would be, why a hop farm? What got you started and interested in that?
Well, we've just been craft beer fans for a long time and home brewers, and also been really our whole lives have been dedicated to agriculture in one form or another. We've both I've worked on farms growing up, and we both have degrees in agriculture. We both work for the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We have chickens and turkeys and bees here. So
And eventually sheep.
and maybe sheep someday. So we've always been interested in small scale sustainable agriculture at a local level. And when we were looking at how do we take this to a commercial scale of some sort, what do we grow? What are we passionate about? What looks like it would be an interesting challenge but fun? We looked at hops and really did a lot of research and just decided that it's different for the area, but that was very appealing to us. So we just wanted to go for it, give it a shot.
So when you started out, how many hop varieties did you start with? What acreage did you start at?
Our first year we did a 1/4 acre hop yard, and that was just Cascade and Centennial hops. There was about 160 plants, and that was just to sort of make sure that our field was suitable for it. We had a good climate, we enjoyed it, you know, they grew well here, and people enjoyed brewing with them. And then this year we decided to really go for it and then put in 2 full acres at 2,000 plants.
At a quarter acre, we could do it on a part-time basis, but once we decided that we liked it and it suited us well, that's when we decided that Adam would go full-time doing this, and then we expanded to 2 acres. So it was, even a quarter acre was tough to do with 2 part-time, you know, working full-time and doing it on the side, but 2 acres is a handful for one full-time person too.
I'm sure.
So.
I mean, you just look out there and you see the endless rows of hops,
Yeah.
and how does one person? Do you pretty much? Are you pretty much in full control? Are you pretty much the hands-on, top to bottom, everything?
Basically, I mean, of course, I run everything by my wife, but
Of course.
Right,
Both
as
hop
he
related
should.
and not.
Right,
Yes.
right, yes.
but no, I mean, I'm pretty much in charge of everything,
Yeah.
and whether it's weeding or pest control or just doing research or marketing, you know, it all falls on me because it's my full-time job.
Yeah. And it looks like a handful, but I mean, if you love doing it and you love drinking beer, it's got to be.
Absolutely.
And you
Definitely
are
worth
growing 5 varieties now?
We have 5 main varieties. We have a couple other experimental types out there, but we have Cascade, Centennial, Chinook, Nugget, Comet, and then 2 subtypes of Cluster, one of which went into that beer that we just drank.
And Nick, talk about the 2 different clusters. I know you were talking about it when we were out in the field.
Yeah, Cluster is a very old commercial hop, and basically it was developed by, I don't know, natural means, I guess you could say. The best anyone really knows is that some of the parents probably came over from Europe, but they were definitely hybridized with wild North American hops as well. Mm-hmm. So we have one out there that's called an early cluster, or an East Coast cluster in a way is how I think about it, whereas that was probably one of the earlier clusters. And then as people moved hops out west, then they took some of those East Coast early type clusters and then actually hybridized them with other hops out west. So there's 2 types. There's one that's sort of more suited for the East Coast and one that's sort of more suited for the West Coast. And the West Coast one matured probably about 2 weeks faster than the West Coast one.
You should have done 2 cluster beers and had them side by side.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Next
time.
year.
Yeah.
Actually, we could do it right now. I have enough of the late
Yeah?
cluster. I could repeat this recipe and do it.
Nice.
That'd be cool.
Very nice.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
So, what are the advantages / challenges of growing hops in this specific region? Have you found?
Well, there's a lot of challenges compared to the big hop farms out west. Part of the reason it moved out west is because of the climate. Mm-hmm. We have a lot more humidity around here, so there's a lot more pressure on diseases than what they have out west. So powdery and downy mildew are some problems we have. We have the traditional kind of pest issues like with potato leaf hopper and aphids, Japanese beetles, like with a lot of crops that you might have around here. I think some advantages are just the concentration of awesome breweries we have here, and like people that are very supportive of local agriculture and supporting their community. It's just been phenomenal to get to know some of the breweries and home brewers in the area, have their support, and just get to know them since we started.
Now we know Molly Pitcher uses your hops, obviously. What are some of the other area commercial breweries that are using your hops?
So this year, the breweries that did fresh hop beers with our hops were Molly Pitcher, Moo Duck in Elizabethtown, and then Trogs in Hershey. Last year, we did some dry hopping of firkins and sixtels and so forth with Pizza Boy. They did a firkin with their West Shore IPA. Moo Duck did a Big Brew Imperial with dry hop with some of our Cascades. And Trogs did a Blizzard of Hops firkin with our hops.
And Brewery at Hershey.
And Brewery at Hershey did a Hip Hops Hooray
I remember that.
with our hops in it as well, firkin.
Very nice.
So with with obviously giving your hops to Molly Pitcher, I know we had the Nugget beer when we were there. Zach, do you guys use any other of Sunnyberry hops?
We did 3 different ones this year. First, we started with the Chinook. That one went over really well. That was actually our quickest selling beer that we've had to date. Then we did the Nugget, which we tasted last time on the show. Mm-hmm. And then tonight we'll be able to taste the Comet, which was my personal favorite. I think his Comet was the best hop of the bunch. I mean, it was amazing. great hop. I was really happy with the way it turned out, and we'll get to try that one here tonight.
Yeah, the crowd that night when we recorded there, just especially Chelsea. Oh my God, she kept saying how that was the best beer ever. It was very well received,
Right.
and I think that just the idea of knowing that the ingredient is local, not just to Pennsylvania, but right here, I'm gonna say it, pronounce it incorrectly, in Carlisle.
Carlisle?
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Carlisle. Carlisle.
Carlisle or Carlisle?
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
We say
You gotta shake your
Carlisle,
head
but
when you
it's
get
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Apparently, we still need more lessons. But I mean, that means a lot to the people in this area to have a local brewery, have a local hop farm. I mean, that's special.
There's something to be said about starting a mash, sending one of your brewers down the road to
Yes.
pick up the hops and have him return and be able to dump them in the kettle before the boil is started. Like that's awesome to be able to do that
Yeah,
right down the
For
road.
sure.
You know,
Unless you're growing the hops yourself at the brewery. I mean, not many
Yeah.
brewers can do that.
it doesn't get fresher.
It's really cool for us as a hop grower to see the hops that we grow be expressed that way, and so fresh, so local, with such care, and really enthusiastically received.
So you mentioned, your background in agriculture and your love of craft beer. Were you a hop head? Were you always into like IPAs and hoppy beers? Is that what led you to hops, or is it more of just an ingredient into beer that you could grow in your current location? Or
I'd say the last couple of years I've become a serious hop head.
Yeah.
But I mean, before that, I spent some time in Belgium, and I got really into Belgian beers, so that sort of distracted me a little bit from the glory of hops for a while. But
You still need hops to make Belgian beer.
absolutely,
It's true.
absolutely. But no, yeah, I definitely. That wasn't really the primary driver, though. I think it was just the allure of sort of a challenging, unique crop was all I sort of needed.
That's cool. And do you find what growing these varieties of hops specifically in Pennsylvania, in this area, in this climate, what sort of characteristics does that uniquely impart to the hops that you wouldn't find from the same variety, say, grown on the West Coast?
That's a great question, and honestly, I don't know the answer yet.
Okay, it's a learning process. And
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely one of those opportunities, really, where you can take a commercial Cascade, from Hop Union or whatever from the homebrew store, and then brew the same batch side by side with our Cascade, and really try to parse out those differences.
Right.
As our hops, basically, they're still pretty young plants. We have mostly first year plants. They're not quite as developed as most of the plants are out west that you're probably used to using. So that in itself will make them a little bit different.
Right.
So once they're 3 years old and they're fully mature, then we'll be able to really, figure that
find
out.
that specific, unique fingerprint.
Yeah, because the soil type will probably have a big impact, almost like grapes.
Yeah.
Very similar.
So the hops that you guys grow, how did you decide on those? Were they hops that you knew you liked, or was it just like availability of what you could get to
You
plant?
knew they'd grow here.
Or yeah.
It was actually mostly agronomic factors that really went into that. So obviously we wanted to pick hops that brewers loved and were popular, and we could find a home for them. But the factors that were most important to us as hop farmers were, are they resistant to diseases? Because some are, like Centennial, for example, is much more susceptible to downy mildew than some other hops out there. What's their yield like? What's their growth habit? What's their hop storage quality like? So it's just a lot of those types of things went into it. How picky they are with dealing with weeds or other pests or anything like that. So those are the sorts of considerations we really took into account.
And have they been growing the way you expected? Have there been any disappointments or surprises, or are things kind of going the way you expect as far as the growth?
So far, it's pretty much as expected. What was sort of surprising was the Comet and the Cluster. The reason we picked those two hops also because they have very clear wild North American heritage. So we thought there might be some strong. I don't know what's the word.
Resilience to.
They might have some qualities that make them really suited to this area and to growing in this region compared to some other hops that maybe like noble hops that came over from Europe. So those were sort of an unknown because like not a lot of people grow Comet and Cluster on a small scale like we do, so we don't really know what to expect. So that was sort of an experiment with those two. The Nugget and the Chinook did really, really well. The Cascades do well too. So those were expected.
I think a big challenge for us was weed management. And that was kind of unexpected. I think we felt like we could keep up with the weeds pretty well. We had a stirrup hoe, which is just like something you use in your garden, and we were like, yeah, we'll just do this every week through the 2 acres. And yeah, that wasn't that
Quickly
wasn't gonna
realized
happen.
that wasn't going to happen.
Right. So then we upgraded to mechanical means, and it still is. It's tough. It presents quite a challenge for us, and that has an effect on how well the young hops can grow up, and so that's been a challenge that we're still trying to work through. But as Adam and I have toured other hop yards, we're not alone in that challenge. I think a lot of other hop yards have that weed problems. I mean, it's just very difficult to get in between the plants. So it's just, I would say that's been one of our biggest challenges that was kind of unexpected this year. So I did a lot of hand weeding. I'm the manual labor on the farm. You know, I come home from work and yeah, it's nice.
Wow. Somebody's got to be quality control, right?
It's mindless work for me. It's nice. I get in my zone there, and I can go out and just do manual labor, and it's actually kind of nice. I like it.
Pop in your earbuds, listen to Beer Buzzers podcast.
That's right. That's what I look forward to at the end of my day. Right? So
the only beer podcast.
Right.
The only beer podcast. That's our new tagline.
I love it. So what's next for Sunny Bray? Short term, long term? What are your goals?
Our goals are to be, this is going to sound kind of cheesy, but the best gosh darn hop growers we can be. I mean, seriously, I think it's really, really tempting with how things are going to just say, well, let's expand and expand and expand and get more hops in the ground. And we've been toying with that, definitely. But we're first generation hop growers compared to, seventh or whatever they have, in other areas of the world and country. And we have a lot to learn, and we can acknowledge that. So I think the best thing to do for at least next year is to keep this footprint that we have and work on those weed issues and work on making sure we are satisfied with all the pest control issues we need to deal with before expanding. You can definitely... If you have good quality plants and good quality hops, you can get a lot of yield out of them, if you treat them right and grow them right. Yeah. So that's going to be our focus for next year. And besides that, I mean, we're definitely exploring options, to maybe expand someday.
I know you talked a little bit earlier when we were out in the cold and rain about your sort of philosophy towards trying to keep things as organic as possible, sustainable, good for the environment. That's a high priority for you?
It is. I mean, we just have personal philosophy when it comes to that. We just try to respect the earth and respect the plants and respect everything that's out there as much as we can, but still figure out a way to harvest the crop, right? That's productive.
And you have to strike a balance, I think, because, at the end of the day, you have to get the hops picked and sold. So it's finding the best way to do that while still maintaining that philosophy.
Exactly. I mean, you hit it right on the head. It's definitely finding that balance where you feel like you're being true to yourself and also making sure that your farm is productive. Yeah.
And it definitely plays a part in all of our decisions, from the varieties we chose make a difference in how much we have to spray and what we plant in the alleys, and all of those decisions all along the way. In the back of our minds, we're constantly thinking about, okay, well, how can we make the right decision now that maybe would mean we wouldn't have to spray as much in the future, or wouldn't need to do this in the future. So it's kind of in the back of our minds with most of the decisions we make for our hop yard and how we manage it. So.
And we definitely want to try to exhaust all of the more natural options before resorting to anything we wouldn't want to do. So, with some pest problems we've had, we've been working on installing beneficial insects that might go after those bad insects for us so we don't have to spray. Or instead of weeding with, taking care of weeds with chemicals, we were talking earlier about maybe bringing some sheep out and experimenting with using the sheep to help us with the weeding. And they would fertilize the hops and everything while they're out here.
So many benefits.
Yeah.
And they're adorable.
And sweaters
and
for Christmas.
Yeah. Or when it gets unseasonably cold, or it starts to get to October and you need to stay warm out there. So I've got a question about how to really, I guess, get into it. So what was the first step that you had to take?
Research.
Okay.
A lot of research and visiting other hop farms.
What was the second step you had to take?
Are you getting this, Dan? Write it down.
Yeah, right.
Step 1, research.
Step 2, convincing your wife it was a good idea.
Well, that's-
right.
Yes, which I'm sure the research helped with.
Right.
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, you have to have it all laid out first.
Right. But I think you mean like the first physical thing.
I guess, yeah, like
had
when
to
you,
do,
so
yeah.
you've done your research, you convinced the wife, and then you set out and you say, all right, let's do this. How do you, I guess,
Do this.
yeah, how do you get started with it? So you had the land, but then how do you actually get the hops to then grow?
Well, the very first step out in the field is really making sure your field is good for hops. So you want to make sure, your soil is good. You have relatively few weed seeds out there if possible, which we didn't do. You want a soil test, make sure soil fertility is good. And when considering a site for hops, you want to make sure that there's plenty of sunlight and plenty of breeze. Because when we have those pressures of mildews, that sunlight and that wind will help dry out the base of the plants and discourage that from becoming an issue. So you just want to make sure your site is properly prepped. And then I guess next step would be figuring out how big you can go, and that would somewhat depend on the time you have, the money that you have, able to put into it, and then sourcing the different parts like the poles that you need, the cabling, the anchors.
And then as far as like the actual vines themselves, where do you get the progenitor? Progenitor?
How do you start with that?
The thing that makes it start growing. I mean, because you don't grow from seeds, correct? You grow from the crown of another something.
Yeah. So typically, for a long time, most people have planted hops by planting rhizomes. So a rhizome is a cutting from an existing hop plant, and that you do in the spring, and then you put that in the ground. What we're finding as we get these rhizomes from the West Coast states is that they will often come diseased. So they'll come with diseases on them.
So they're trying to sabotage you.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want us here.
Something like that.
Yeah. But when they come to you and they have these diseases, how do you then work to cure them?
It's very hard to
see what you did there.
Very hard to cure them. So what some folks have decided to do, and we actually did this for this year's expansion, was to actually buy greenhouse plants that were started in a certified, inspected greenhouse that follows certain protocols that have a certified clean mother plant, and they propagate it in the greenhouse in controlled conditions, so that started plant that comes to you comes in like a little 4-inch pot. You put that plant in the ground, it's already started to grow roots, grow above ground growth, and you stand a much, much better chance of it being clean compared to a rhizome. So it is more expensive, they're harder to get than a rhizome.
But more reliable.
But we think it was worth it, and that's why we went with that route. And there's greenhouses popping up all over. There's lots of them in Michigan, and there's 3 or 4 that have started up in New York.
Would you, and I don't know precisely what would be involved in it, but doing your own breeding down the line, like getting a male plants as breeding plants to...
it would be great to do that. I would absolutely love to find some fence row hop and then, see what we can do here, working with maybe the cluster or the comet. But truthfully, breeding your own hops is a very, very long process. Yeah. It takes a lot of iterations to nail it exactly how you want it. And it's definitely a lot of time, investment, and work to get it right.
Right.
Doesn't mean we wouldn't love to try it sometime.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Steph wants more beer.
I guess on that note, our glasses around the table are empty, so we should probably...
Beer me! Beer me! Beer me! Beer me!
All right, so Steph is pointing to a bottle, and apparently we are starting with an unlabeled bottle. What would be in this unlabeled bottle?
This is the Moo Duck Brewery I'm a Farmer Pale Ale, which is their 5% ABV pale ale, fresh hopped with Nugget and Chinook hops from Sunnybray.
Yay!
Awesome.
Yeah, so Mike, the brewer for Moo Duck, actually came out to the farm and worked with me for a morning, and we picked the hops together for this beer.
Nice.
And you got to get that experience.
Did he bring Mistopheles?
No.
The cat.
Now that they have the cat back.
Yes, now that the cat is back.
Yeah.
And congrats to them.
Yes.
Yes.
I can only imagine
Although our congrats is a little late.
Yeah, it's true.
Oh, well, better late than never. I love the
It's
aroma.
got an
on
awesome
this.
Yeah.
aroma. Yeah. Unexpected, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what's the word I want to use?
It's
Like at one point, it's like mango-y and tropical, and then another, it's like lemony, but then it's like bready. Oh, just drink it already, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good. That's
it is
real
good.
good.
So he did a 5-gallon batch that I think it was gone in a weekend. I want to say.
Should have made more.
I like this beer. It's got
That's really nice.
It's got like almost a punchy bitter start, and then it kind of rounds out with the citrus.
Yeah.
Comes in at the end and sort of cleans that up.
pretty much exactly what I was going to say.
That's why I said it first.
Thank you for that.
I think this is one of my favorite Moo Duck beers. Mike, make more.
Let's talk, Mike.
Yeah, it's really nice.
This was Nugget and Chinook, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool.
And you have to really appreciate the fact that this is not a beer you can get year-round. How frustrating is that for a brewer to make these amazing fresh hop beers and know you can't make it for another year?
Yeah, we sold out of ours instantly that day, and it was just we could have kept pouring it the next couple weeks, but can't do it. You know, it's frustrating, but at the same time, that's part of its mystique is only being able to do it occasionally with, you know, the fresh hops that are only available harvest time, and that's it. So it's a rarity. You know, it'd be nice if it was around all the time, but I think that would take something away from it if it was available.
That's true. It makes you appreciate it more because you can't have it all the time. But I don't know. I could drink this.
This is really good, and for all that flavor and for all that hop character, it drinks really smooth, and it's easy drinking. And I've just finished it already.
Yeah,
which
same here.
It's a testament to that because I usually don't drink very fast.
It's true, you don't.
I'm giving it a 5. I
Wow,
really
Steph's
am.
giving it a 5.
On Untapped, just
And
on
I put,
Untapped.
and my comment is, Mike, this is amazing.
There you go.
I think that's what I typed.
Oh, geez. There we go.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I really love the fresh hop beer season. It's just so unique. It's just so special, and you get just those wonderful like fresh oil like aromas off of this beer that you just can't get any other time of year.
What I really have always liked about fresh hop beers is they always tend to invoke a sort of like rainy grass, forest dew kind of like. I just like that kind of fresh sort of.
It's because all those very, very delicate hop oils are still intact. They haven't been dried off or lost in a pelletizing process or anything.
It's just all as natural as you can get then.
Yep.
Which it's a nice character that gets added to it.
This is like free advertising for you also, though. I mean, the response people had to the Nugget beer at Molly Pitcher and now this, I mean, when they see that it was made with your hops, I mean, don't you think that's going to get people interested in your hops? Like, who? Where's this hop place? This beer was made with what?
I certainly hope so. I mean, I love to see the positive reactions from brewers and the positive reactions from the folks drinking it. Like, that's definitely very satisfying to me as the farmer to see all the work that went into this year finally get put into a glass and people just loving it. And that's just amazing.
Well, I remember when we first met the guys from Deer Creek, Josh came to one of my homebrew meetings, like feels like forever ago. And, you know, I mean, the first malt house since Prohibition in Pennsylvania, I mean, I just wanted to go around PA and drink every beer that was made with their malts. But now I kind of feel like I want to go drink every beer made with Sunny Bray hops, you know? And I think that's sort of, you know, especially those of us, I guess, that have kind of been on the craft beer bandwagon for a while. It kind of gives us something new to obsess about, perhaps. Yeah. You know, it's like we've been to most of the breweries. We have all the Untapped check-ins. We've had a lot of the unique beers. Now it gives us something else to go and seek out, these local beers with these special ingredients.
Yeah. Well, and just like that fresh hop beers and harvest ales only come around once a year.
Yeah, true.
So is it true that you can't go a state away and get a beer made with Sunny Bray hops? Now, hopefully in the future you will be able to because you'll get that successful. But it's really awesome to be able to say, you know, go to Molly Pitcher and have a beer that, like you said, the hops are right down the road. The Carlisle.
And you did the head movement, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The malts from
I learned.
a malt house in Glen Mills. But that adds an extra something, and it certainly, you know, it's going to add, to use the term again, that fingerprint of this specific area in this local place, and that's not something you're going to get. If you leave
My
this
notes are getting
local
wet.
place.
So, but commercial brewers are not the only ones that are brewing with your hops, and not just you. There are other home brewers also using your hops. Now, are the home brewers that use your hops, are they only front people that know you? Or can home brewers that are like, I hear this guy has awesome hops, can they actually buy hops from you on a smaller scale?
So next year there will definitely be more opportunity for that, and we definitely have some interest from the homebrewing community for purchasing our hops, which was awesome, and I wish we could have done more of that. But given the fact that a lot of these plants are young and not producing their full production, we just didn't get there yet, and we didn't figure out the logistics in time. But next year we definitely will. The folks that did brew with our hops this year, we are more or less friends.
Nothing wrong with that.
That's okay.
But it's
That's
good. It's a
cool.
good way to test the waters and to
That's
see.
true.
Yeah.
Try these out, see how they go. So is that beer?
Yes.
Is
Let's
that what we're
open it
moving
up.
on to next?
What is that beer?
That beer?
That
This
beer.
is a homebrewed pale ale called Whitechapel Pub Pale Ale.
Coming in at 4.7% ABV.
Look at you with the numbers.
Yes, this.
I'm writing it down too.
I did not homebrew this, but a friend did. His name's Kevin, and he got the recipe from the Homebrewer's Recipe Guide. And the recipe allegedly was inspired from a beer that was served at the pub where Jack the Ripper hung out at.
Nice.
So he took the basic recipe and then subbed in our hops and his own backyard hops, and then some more local hops from a small farm in Snyder County. I have not had this beer yet.
Has almost a berry.
But we have
quality
had
to
some
the
of
aroma.
his other homebrew, which has been very good.
Which of your hops are in this?
Chinook.
It does have like a
berry quality.
yeah.
in
There's
the
something
aroma.
else there too. Like it's kind of like bready as well.
Yeah, he told me that he used gypsum, which gives it a more bready flavor, I think.
Ooh.
So when you said that, that just reminded me that he had said that he added gypsum to it.
All right, I got it right.
Yeah. So nice job.
This is a very, very impressive flavor.
Yeah, Kevin shared some really interesting homebrew with them in the past. I think the most interesting one was a nettle homebrew, like made out of stinging nettle.
Yeah. I've read about
There's
some
some
other beers.
really
that, yeah.
interesting books out there
Yeah.
about brewing with crazy herbs and plants like that.
I think he has that book because
Yeah.
he has made some really great beers.
You need to borrow that book. Or do you own it? Are you talking about he owns it or the guy with the...
No, Kevin owns it.
Kevin owns it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kevin owns it. 'cause
you need
he's-
to borrow the book from Kevin. It's a good book.
I think we'll let Kevin harvest the stinging nettle.
That's a good
That's
idea.
fine, yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got. I like the layers to it. It has that
It's-
bready flavor. I don't know if it's just because we got it in the aroma, but I kind of get a little bit of berryness.
I did
in
get
the
berry
background.
right up front. I will say it's a little sweet for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's sweet, but it doesn't linger, so I can appreciate it. And the sweetness is balanced. It doesn't overtake the hops. The hops are still the star in this beer,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
He used 5 ounces of fresh Chinook hops for this from us. And then the other hops were Cascade and Nugget.
So now we have a beer that somebody else at the table made. This one is from Molly Pitcher. Zach, what are we drinking?
This is our Comet. It's our Sunny Bray Comet Harvest Ale. Basically, we took a little bit of Columbus for bittering, and the rest of it, the rest of the hops used was Sunny Bray Comet to showcase that flavor. For the last 30 minutes, we did a continuous hop addition. We took 2 pounds of his Comet and slowly added them over the last 30 minutes. And then once that was done, we left it ferment for 5, 6, 7 days, something like that. And we dry hopped it with a pound of his Comet. So we put a whole pound in 10 gallons. We left that sit for 5 more days before we kegged it. So there's quite a bit of his Comet, Sunny Bray Comet hops in here. And you can definitely get that character from it.
Oh, yeah.
The aroma is insane. It's like piney, and then it's berry, and it's
It is a very like bright and crisp hop character to it.
oh my god.
It's really quite.
I
nice.
just want to
Yeah.
drink Harvest Ales for the rest of my
I
life.
know, right? They're so good.
I love this beer.
This is amazing.
It's so good.
Wow.
Like those guys when you go to beer fests that are like, "What's your hoppiest beer?" The fake hop heads. This is what real hop heads drink.
This is amazing.
It's not that overwhelming with bitterness,
I
but it
was
has
just
so
gonna
much
say that.
character
Oh, yeah.
from,
It does.
from the Comet.
You get it's. How do I want to phrase this? It's like when you have a pepper beer that has more of the flavor from the pepper than the heat. This I think gets the flavor out of the hop, but not too much of the bitterness. From it.
But just enough. There is bitterness at the finish.
Oh yeah,
This
But
is
it's-
amazing.
Yeah, this is one you could keep going back to easily.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the whole point of just, I mean, using a little bit of Columbus for the bittering was just to get that bittering in there and then highlight the flavors and the aromas
Right.
Oh, yeah.
of the Comet. And this did a really good job doing that.
Absolutely.
I think I'm giving another 5.
I think all three beers that we've had tonight with the fresh hops from the Moo Duck, I got a little bit of lemon in that.
Yeah.
From the Whitechapel, there was a little bit of berry to that. With this one, I get a little bit of grapefruit, lots of like pungentness. And I think it's unique because all three of those beers, I get flavors from them that I don't get at all from those hops when they're dried. And I think that's the coolest part about, using.
What a difference it
Yeah,
makes. Yeah.
totally
Yeah.
different.
Is this not on Untapped?
We actually haven't started serving it in our tap room yet, so that's probably why it's
Oh.
not on Untapped.
All right, we are
Yeah.
adding it.
You can, go ahead and add it.
You have permission.
Yep, you're getting a sneak peek here. Hasn't went on tap yet.
I love sneak peeks.
Oh, well, by the time this airs, it'll probably be gone.
It will be.
I was
yeah.
going to say
It'll
go
be
now.
gone.
Go get it, yeah.
So it is Comet Harvest.
Exclusive on Beer Busters.
Wait, what, was that him or was that a sound
That
clip?
was a sound clip.
That was a sound clip.
Who was that?
Gregor.
Yeah, the only other Harvest Ale beer that we had this year that we couldn't unfortunately taste tonight was one from Trogs. And then they used 100% Deer Creek malt in that one as
wow.
well. And it was very nice, a combination highlighted both the hops and the malt.
Yeah.
Very smooth.
Very Pennsylvania.
It was very Pennsylvania.
Scratch Beer 206.
Scratch Beer 206.
Yep.
Can we talk just for a quick second? Can I just say how awesome Trogs scratch beers are in general? I love their scratch series.
You can.
They're
We
always
actually
something
have another
cool.
one tonight.
There you go. See?
So
There.
hold that thought.
Yeah,
I
hold
will
that
hold
thought
that
for
thought.
later.
I just wanted to say that.
Can I just say how awesome Harvest Ales are?
They are awesome.
Can I just say how awesome Sunny Bray is?
Can I just say how awesome you guys are?
You could say that the rest
Can I
of the
just say
evening.
how awesome Molly Pitcher is? Can I
Yes.
just say how awesome Carlisle is?
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
It's like a headbang kind of.
Well, that's how
Like
they
like
roll.
a pigeon, like kind of like a pigeon. Lyle.
So I told Adam that we would bring some beers along, and I asked him what kind of beers he liked, and he said hoppy beers. And I said, well, I don't have any in the cellar because you don't age hoppy beers, but my awesome mother was awesome enough to bring home a bottle of awesome La Cumbre Project Dank when she was in New Mexico recently.
Awesome in New Mexico.
Awesome in New Mexico. I'm trying to use awesome as many times as you use excited.
You still have like 1,000 to go.
Well, that's why I put awesome in the tweet because I use awesome a lot.
It's
Anyway.
awesome. How many more awesomes she has to say to be as awesome as your awesome exciteds?
But anyway, since he's a hop grower and he loves hoppy beers, I wanted to bring him a hoppy beer from one of my favorite breweries that happens to make my personal favorite IPA, Elevated IPA, and this is Project Dank.
I just love how it lingers.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the mouthfeel of it.
Yeah, they've perfected the IPA in my mind.
Can I see the bottle?
That's really
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
good. I expected.
Yeah.
I think in my mind, I just thought it was going to be something a little different, and I'm glad I was wrong. I expected it to be like super over the top, punch you in the
Right.
palate hop bitterness,
Right.
but it's really subdued, but
Yeah.
it's there.
It's sort of a classy dank.
That's my comment. Classy Dank.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was expecting, just like
Yeah.
a crazy bitter bomb and just nuts, but it's just like a really nice balance,
Oh, yeah.
a really nice linger.
There's a nice little like a nice sweetness with it too. That helps
Nice
it a little bit.
Piney little grapefruit.
It's subtle though. The sweetness is super subtle. It's enough to balance it, but this is about the hops.
Oh yeah.
It's about that citrus punch, the tropical fruit flavors. I mean, it is. They've nailed it.
It drinks
I love this beer.
pretty easily, not only considering the hop character, but also the 7.5
Yeah.
ABV mark.
And you want to drink them fresh. And this was bottled August 11th,
Oh wow.
so it's like a month and a half old, but it doesn't.
Yeah,
it's
still like
it tastes like it was bottled yesterday.
Speaking of 7.5, that's what my cluster was.
Wow, I like this beer.
So now that we have full glasses, I guess we can move on to
Yes, I
My
believe
glass isn't
we
quite full.
probably
to
should.
funness.
Could I get a top off? if
Would
we're
you
gonna do
say
this?
that is half empty or half full, Wayne?
It's
It's half fun.
Half
Time.
fun, halfy fun time.
Happy fun time.
Happy fun time.
Hey, what time is it?
all right. That was there was
Hey, kids.
that was culturally insensitive. What just happened? And
That's why we tried to save it.
oh lord. Okay.
But what time is it, Wayne?
8:58.
Okay. So, we have a game that we're playing. And I understand it's return of something that we played the last
Cheers, internet.
Good vamping, Dan.
I just had to. No. Cheers and welcome to Happy Fun Time Games, the only podcast trivia segment clinically proven to be effective in fighting zombie werewolf hybrids. We find ourselves tonight.
Where did you test that?
In my basement. We find ourselves
You don't
tonight.
have a basement.
Think about it. At yet another Humulus lupulus pharmacus. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god.
For the first time
Why
since
do we let him?
for our first time since our trip to French Creek Organics back in episode 32, and since hops are just tops, Pops will trot out a hot new spot that's top notch and play Hopscotch.
Yay.
Part 2.
Part 2.
So now this is a grab bag of different types of questions all about hops. And
Are
when
you
I say
just going to give us the same questions we had in episode 32 because you know we won't remember?
I was going to do that because I knew you wouldn't, but no, we don't. So I have actually only have 3 questions for this game right now, but I also have a bonus round.
Oh, yay.
And it's a bonus round that's going to require some thought and creativity.
Oh, God.
So I'm going to tell you about it now so you can think about it as the game goes on. I would like you to come up with the best hop pun name for a beer that hasn't already been used. And we're going to check the internet and see if it's been used or not. And there will be bonus points available if you come up with a unique hop pun name for a beer that hasn't been used, and it has to be good. So think about that. And while you think about that, we're going to start to my left with Dan. And now this one is a question where everybody is going to write down their answers
Oh, damn
so
it.
that nobody gives it away to
but I'm
anyone
all
else.
good. Okay.
So this question is, hops are used in brewing today to impart flavor, aroma, and bitterness to beers, but why did hops win out over other early beer additives?
So am I supposed to write the answer or say the answer?
Write the answer.
Then how is it starting with me?
Because I was looking at you when I read the question.
Okay.
And you're going to be the
Wait,
first
what
one.
was the question? I was coming up with my beer name.
The question is, why did hops win out over other early additives to beers? Other
For
than
what? Why did hops win out to do what?
to be the ingredient in beer that they are today. For a reason other than the
You
flavors they
can't
impart.
Google the answer, Adam. Put your phone down.
I'm not Googling the answer.
I think he has the answer, actually. If you would like, I will repeat the question verbatim since you weren't paying attention. Hops are used in brewing today to impart flavor, aroma, and bitterness to beer. But why did hops win out over other early beer additives? All right, everybody have their answers?
No.
I don't know if it's spelled correctly, but I got a high five from the brewer next to me, so I must be right.
Jack?
It's pretty good.
Oh,
We're playing Happy Fun Times. I have to call him Jack.
wait, did Dan say his answer?
Not yet. He's still thinking.
Oh,
Like I can read it from over here. Really?
Oh, my. Clock is ticking.
Whatever. I'm just going with a word.
All right, what is your word?
a word.
Steph, why don't you go first?
No, to my left.
Preservation.
Okay, fair enough. Adam.
Antibacterial.
Antibacterial. Zach.
Antimicrobial properties.
Antimicrobial, and that's what Steph wrote.
Antimicrobial.
And you are all pretty much correct. Yes, that is the reason why
I got a high five from Steph.
hops
All right.
were originally
All right.
used
All right.
in beer. Historians
I'm Rooster's
believe
brother.
that the reason hops were first added to beer was for the flower's antiseptic properties, not for its bittering flavor. Observant early brewers noticed that beers with hops would spoil slower than those made with other herbs and plants. This also meant that brewers could correspondingly lower the alcohol content and therefore use less grain in the brewing process and make more money off of their concoctions. Moving on to question number 2, and this is a true or false question, and Adam is going to go first on this question. And this question is, true or false,
hops keep chickens healthy?
True. No.
True.
False.
False. Okay, false. Zach, what do you think?
False.
Zach is saying false. Steph?
I'm trying to figure out if it's
Wait.
if it's not.
What
false.
do you mean exactly?
I know.
Because it could be true.
If that
depending
statement
on-
in any way could be true,
I'd like to change my
would you
answer.
like to change your answer to true? Okay. Okay, Adam is saying true. Zach,
True.
what did you say?
I would like to change it to true as well.
True as well. Steph, what do you think?
Just because it's
Is
so
it?
vague, I'm gonna say true.
Okay, fair enough, Dan.
The guy with the agriculture degree said true. I'm going true.
All right. So, then the answer is true.
No,
Brewmasters,
elaborate.
I will elaborate, have known about the preservative qualities of hop flowers for centuries, which we just talked about. But the antimicrobial bitter acids contained in hop flowers might also prevent pathogenic bacteria taking hold in chickens' stomachs. According to a USDA study in 2008, adding the bitter acid lupulone to the chicken's drinking water appears to be a viable alternative to low-level antibiotic doping of their feed. So hops can keep chickens healthy. I say that in the presence of two people, who have been properly educated in agricultural science, so I could be completely wrong, but this is what the internet told me,
And the internet is never wrong.
which is probably not as reliable as your education.
Hey, he said true, so
In theory, it makes sense.
Okay.
Adam, please don't start feeding your chickens hops. Us brewers want them. We want all we can get.
Okay, now we're going to move on to our third and final question. And I should make Dan go first on this one.
Please don't.
But I'm not going to. We're going to let Zach go first on this one. The term noble hops refers to 4 varieties of continental European hops originally grown in Central Europe. Which of the following varieties is not a noble hop? Is it Spalt, Hellertauer, Willamette, or Saaz?
Spalt.
Zach is saying Spalt. Steph?
Spalt.
Steph is saying Spalt. Dan?
Hey, Spalt.
Dan is saying, hey, Spalt. And Adam?
Willamette.
Adam is saying Willamette, and as the hop farmer, the only one correct at the table. Willamette
Really?
is not a noble
Willamette
hop.
is not a noble hop.
I'd like to change my answer.
It's too late for that now. The 4 traditional varieties of noble hops, including the unmentioned above Tettnanger, which was the 4th, are properly characterized as aroma hops as they have relatively low alpha bitterness, but are highly aromatic. They are widely used in traditional continental beer styles like Bohemian Pilsner, Oktoberfest, Märzens, Dunkels, and Wheat Weizen beers,
Märzen, I'm very proud of you.
and other lockers.
Ah.
They generally do not store well. Willamette, derived from Fuggles, is grown in Oregon. It is an earthy and spicy hop and can often be used in place of Tettnanger, though the noble hop varieties can be grown in the U.S. since, like grapes, and we talked about this earlier, their terroir, which is the environment in which they are grown, affects their characteristics, and hops are only officially considered noble, even if they are of those varieties, if they are grown in the region they originated. And that is the end of
Did you know that the term noble hops
my
only
God.
came into use in the 1980s?
I did not know that. I know that now. I'm going to tell you who's ahead, but not who won. Because
Oh, I have
we
I
have
have
a-
my name.
we have a
I already
bonus
came
round.
up with it, and I'm so proud of it.
we have a bonus
Right,
round,
your
ladies
name.
and gentlemen. But before the bonus round, I think appropriately enough, Adam is so far in first place with 3
Good.
points. Everybody else is having a German sparkle party with 2 points apiece. So now we are going to move on to your hop pun names, and I got the internet fired up and ready
All right.
to check your ideas against
I got
those of
mine, I
every
got
other
mine.
brewer on the face of
Do
the
we all
planet.
have to write them down before
we
we
are
can
going
share?
to start to my left.
Such a good one. I'm so proud of
With
mine.
Dan, what is your hop pun?
Uh,
Uh-oh.
Oh, I didn't. Can I confer with Untap to make sure it's
Nope.
not?
no,
Nope.
that's what
Oh,
Wayne's
I'm
job
not
is.
allowed to.
No, that's what Wayne's job is. I am going to give you mine that I'm nerdly proud of. Steve Hops.
Steve Hops. Okay. Okay, we've got Hops Beer Guy, Steve, a.k.a. Hops Beer. No. Steve is a certified
Why
strength
are
and
you not
conditioning.
checking Untap?
I'm checking the internet in general. I'm checking Google, which is the internet. So it looks like, as far as I can tell, that is not in use, and it's fairly good. So I'm going to go ahead and say that you may get a bonus point for
It's
that
not
one.
on Untap, so
It's
yeah.
not on Untappd.
All right.
All right, moving over to he who has spent more time among hops than probably the rest of us. Adam, what is your hop pun?
I'm going to go with Hopulus Maximus.
How are you spelling that?
Hopulus Maximus.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. All right, that made sense. Hopulus Maximus by Brothers Beer Bistro.
No.
Hopulus Maximus by Brothers
Wait,
Beer Bistro.
does it have to have hop in, or can it have
Creek
the name of a hop?
Humulus Maximus on Beer Advocate. Heller Tower Maximus Humulus Lupulus on Wraith Beer. Yamhill Humulus Maximus. I'm sorry, unfortunately, it was good, but so good that somebody else thought of it as well. Zach. Oh, I'm sorry, Diana. Did you come up with a hop pun?
Oh no,
I know
we
were-
collaborated.
You collaborated
together
on that
for
one. Okay, fair
yeah,
enough. Fair
sorry.
enough. Okay, that was a good team effort. All right, Zach. What's your hop pun?
I'm gonna go with Hop Hogan.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Nice. Hop Hogan. Fair Hope Hop Hogan on Rape Beer, an Imperial IPA by Fair Hope Brewing Company, a brewery in Fair Hope, Alabama. Unfortunately, that one is taken.
Okay,
Steph, what's
mine
your
doesn't
brilliant-
have the word hop in it. It has the name of a hop in it. Is that okay?
What is it? I will judge on how good it is.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me, bro. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Come
go
on
ahead
now.
and say that
Come
is
on now.
really awesome. If that is not taken, you win the game on that.
Wait, aren't we tied then?
Can I?
No, because she gets extra bonus points for that because it's really cool.
Can I? Sparkle Party.
But Come at
That's
Me,
my
bro,
nickname.
by Breakside Brewery in Portland, Oregon. So the only person, only person with an actual original hop pun was Dan with Steve Hops, which was good.
Not great.
But not
Pretty
Come at
good.
Me, bro.
Not as good as Come At Me, Bro. So I'm going to elevate you to the level of being tied
Okay.
with Adam for
All right,
first
I
place.
can
Plus,
take
we're
it.
in his home and he gave us food and
Well,
everything.
right.
so,
Yeah, there's that too. I did think of another one that I was kind of proud of. Black Hop Down. It's a Schnook IPA.
I believe that's
Is
been
that
done.
done?
I
Is it
believe
done?
that's
Okay.
been done.
I'm glad I went with Steve Hops then.
Let's go see. Black Hop.
I'm proud to be co-champion with you this week.
I'm proud as well.
Gizmo Brewworks, Black Hop Down
Is it a Chinook
in
IPA?
Raleigh, North Carolina.
Please, it better have Chinook in there, otherwise they're
I don't
fine.
know. It's a beer advocate. It may not say what hops are in it.
Well, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and say
no
that it
notes
does.
at this time. No reviews. India Black Ale. So it's
And it has a Chinook on the label.
All right, so it's
yeah,
probably
it's
Chinook.
probably Chinook. Yep.
Well, that was fun. Let's do this.
No. Know your beers.
Steph, what do you got?
I kind of feel deflated. I was so proud.
It was
Listen, it was
It was
really
good.
good.
It was so
really
good that somebody else already thought of it.
I guess so. All right. So, of course, for this rendition of Know Your Beer, we had to talk about something hop related, but something I hadn't talked about before. So I pulled out my For the Love of Hops book by good old Stan Hieronymus, and I decided to talk about hop aroma. So I'm going to invite you, Adam, to interrupt me at any time if you have anything to add, correct, or say. And let's get into it. So hops contribute 7 positive attributes in brewing: bitterness, aroma, flavor, mouthfeel, foam and lacing, flavor stability, and antimicrobial properties. And today we're going to talk about one of those positive attributes, aroma. Hop oils are the key contributor to aroma. There are over 400 odor components found in hops and hopped beers. For example, alpha-pinene produces herbal pine aromas, while beta-pinene produces a spicy pine aroma. So every odor component produces something different. Recent interest in hop aromas has touched every part of the brewing industry. Breeders are focusing on the amount of essential oils as well as the composition, while farmers are planting different hop varieties and discussing varying harvest dates and kilning temperatures, and brewers are working to pack more hop aroma into beers by altering the brewing process, from altering the hopping schedule to adjusting water chemistry. The compounds that form an aroma image in the brain change as the hop grows until it's harvested. Change occurs again during kilning and storage. Additionally, hop aroma in finished beer may be significantly different from that of a hop before it enters the kettle. And of course, it changes as the beer ages. There's no single formula, and research continues to be done to determine what is it in hop oil that drives aroma and flavor. It can be said with confidence, however, that hoppy aroma in beer is probably not attributable to a single component, but rather the synergistic effect of several compounds,
I approve of that word.
or perhaps a German sparkle party.
Even better.
What we do know is that hop oils include 50 to 80% hydrocarbons and less than 1% sulfur compounds. Hydrocarbons are highly volatile, not very soluble, and are perceptible in finished beer only when added very late in the boil or post-fermentation. the oxygenated compounds are more soluble and aromatic. Their aromas are more likely to show up in the finished beer. Sulfur compounds have very low levels of threshold and can positively and negatively influence the aroma in finished beer. In order to better understand hop aromas, scientists and brewers continue to do research from identifying key hop aroma components in beer and how the particular compounds influence aroma of beers, to studying how the brain discriminates one odor from another. Another challenge with hops has been building a meaningful vocabulary. The beer flavor wheel, developed in the 70s by Master Brewers Association of the Americas and the American Society of Brewing Chemists, but more recently, Hochschule Rheinmann University, that was bad German, I'm sorry. That was really bad. It's even Oktoberfest. A beer aroma wheel with the goal of providing terms more suitable for aroma, focusing less on defects and more on the actual aromas. There are 2 versions of the wheel, one for consumers and one for industry use. Perhaps a hop-specific aroma wheel or hop-specific wheel is to follow. To learn more about hops and aroma, check out Stan Hieronymus's awesome book, For the Love of Hops.
Which is on the table right now.
And autographed by Stan.
Yes, there you go.
Because he's awesome.
So I have some interesting follow-up facts on today's Know Your
As long
Beer.
as they're not follow-up questions.
They're not.
Because
No,
that's why I brought the book.
And we're going to start with one that is a shout-out to the ladies at the table. Because apparently, according to research, women are better at sensing different aspects of beer, particularly aroma. Women, on average, detect odors at lower concentrations and are more likely to rate smells as more intense or unpleasant and are better able to identify them by name.
That's a fact.
Odor perception between men and women is differentiated thanks to the cellular architecture of brain structures associated with smells.
Because we're smarter.
During a test on using the Citra hop, Sierra Nevada actually found that men would comment on citrus smell in a simple means of, in dumb men words, tropical fruit. Which, fair enough. But women could narrow it down to more things like caddy and tomato plant, which I thought was really interesting.
Tomato plant.
Yeah. And to compare how nuanced the sense of smell is, so we have 4 receptors in our eyes geared towards sight, right? But we actually have about 350 active receptors for smell. Not everyone has the same active receptors, which is what sort of differentiates people's different palates and abilities to sense different things, which sort of guide one's taste and allow certain people to enjoy ridiculously spicy things and other people to recoil in pain at them, for example.
I don't understand.
And the other thing is that actually practicing at your sense of smell will help train you to be better able to identify, like physically make changes in your brain. You're actually, when you first take in an aroma, it starts like on the emotional side of your brain and then moves to the more like analytical, logical side. And the more you practice smelling and by extension tasting things, the more you're able to sort of take hold of that. Well, you have that emotional like memory, which will say, oh, okay, this reminds me of this. And then you have that logistical side will become a little bit stronger, and you actually do get better with practice at detecting aromas.
Practice makes perfect.
And you should smell with your mouth open.
Yes.
Yeah, hop aromas are a really fascinating, not very well understood thing. And we all smell things differently, and we just all have different senses when it comes to that. And it's really fascinating to try to describe an aroma or even a taste to someone else and have them say, no, I'm getting something different, and figure it out. One thing that you mentioned, Steph, earlier was about farmers playing with different harvest dates, and that's something that's actually really challenging for, I guess, first generation hop farmers to figure it out. They've found that you have like a target harvest, like dry matter content for a hop, and if you go a little bit beyond that, then you can elevate those really precious volatile oils that give even more aroma and flavor. But the trick is finding exactly when that is, and that's when like the experience, but also the art of hop farming comes in. So that's just a really cool sort of, I don't know, it's not a scientific thing. It's nothing you can learn in a book. It's just one of those things that you pick up over time that has an impact on the hops.
Every season, it's probably different based on the weather.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The weather we had this year was definitely very crazy. It actually got a lot of hops maturing faster than they normally would in the Midwest and the Eastern Seaboard.
Wow. It's amazing how many different things, I mean, talking about hops right now, but just things that go into the beer making process that can have such subtle effects. I mean, we were at Hijinks, we were tasting barrel-aged beers out of different
bourbon barrels from different companies, but
Yep.
even barrels from the same company, the same bourbon, but from different batches would
Yeah.
impart different flavors, and things like the soil composition, the weather, the timing of the harvest, how that changes a hop's characteristic. It's just amazing how all these little things come together
Which
to create
makes
a very
you
unique.
appreciate how a gigantic company like Budweiser
Yes,
can make
that's true.
that beer
Exactly
taste
the
exactly the
same
same
over and over again. Even if it
clean.
tastes like piss, it tastes like
Even
the
if
same
you don't
piss
like it, you have
over and over again.
you have to respect what they're doing there.
That's true. That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
it's hard enough to recreate one beer, but to recreate the same. Anyway, that's a whole different episode. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's cool. But
It's all good.
How about we move on to more drinking?
Round 2, fight.
So we're moving from we're moving from drinking to spraying Diana with beer. We're moving from the more hoppy beers to different styles of beers that can feature the hop, and we're starting, as we kind of alluded to earlier, with one of Trogue's scratch beers. Recently, 206 was was that a Harvest Ale? The one in the picture?
That was the Harvest Ale.
Was a
with-
Harvest Ale that went super, super fast at Trogues with Sunnyberry hops. And now we are drinking their Bock, which is 7% dark, strong German-style lager brewed with my favorite, the PA Dutch malt from Deer Creek, my favorite.
Oh,
of
does
the
this have a
malts.
hair of Dutch?
It got hair Dutch.
It's got hair of Dutch.
It's got a hair of Dutch.
Wow. Talk about being prepared.
I've been waiting to use it.
You and that soundboard are confusing me with reality and non-reality right now.
Well, I will tell you that the man with the good hair is not at the table.
Hey, I'm sitting right here.
No.
The other man
The
with the
Josh
good hair.
with the good hair.
Yeah.
Is what you should say.
Josh Demis Prime.
Josh Demis Prime.
Josh Demis Prime. So, what is it that made you choose for us to drink this on the show?
Well, I really like the fact that it had Pennsylvania malt in it.
Well, I really like beer. That's what I thought he was going to say. Well, Steph, I really like beer.
I had to pivot at the last minute to something.
We're pivoting.
No, it's an interesting style, and again, I really like to try the different beers with the Pennsylvania malts and get to know how that interacts with the different styles.
Ooh, I like this one.
Yeah. It doesn't taste like 7%.
No,
Bock.
Bocks are, but they usually don't taste it.
Yeah. And I find that a bit surprising. It is very... You know what? When we drank the PA lager from Second Story, when we were at Deer Creek, and I said it tastes like Pennsylvania. This is kind of a similar thing.
Yeah.
Like this this for some reason reminds me of our grandfather. And like that sort of old like PA Dutch kind of
Yeah.
mise en scene.
You know what I kind of get out of it? It actually reminds me of a pretzel.
Yes, I want a soft pretzel.
Okay.
Which
I'm
is
not
a
alone.
much more succinct way of saying what I just said and conveying exactly the same thing.
With a jalapeno on it. There you go.
There you go.
What about jalapenos now? What?
Well, because Grandpa loves jalapenos.
True.
It's
Horseradish.
where I got my love of spicy things from.
Horseradish.
And
Now
beer.
Now we know who to blame.
So it turns out Trogues describes this as the Troganator's feisty little brother.
Ooh.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. And we're gonna try Troganator's older, wiser,
Vicious older brother.
secret hitman brother. In a little bit.
This is great. This is really good.
So I thought this was really interesting. Their description for the beer says the traditional time to brew Bock beer was under the sign of Capricorn, the goat,
Of course.
to ensure it would be ready for consumption by May. So that's the classic sign for a Bock, is a goat.
Is a goat.
Is
yeah.
the goat race at Sly Fox.
Yeah. there
We
you
should
go.
find what you should brew under the sign of a sheep.
Oh.
The ram.
Oh.
Yeah.
you
I'm
go.
a ram.
All right. Well,
What do we
we'll-
brew in April?
we'll have to brew something.
I don't know.
Oh, then I'm an Aries, but I'm April.
Yeah.
Is
Isn't
April
Aries
split?
the ram?
Oh, I don't know. Is
Mm,
it?
I'm a lion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Roar.
I've got the eye of the tiger.
Wow.
So you'll have to brew something for Steph and I.
So in April, huh?
Yeah, in April under the ram.
Do something with hop shoots.
Sure.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Figure it out.
And ladders.
Shoots
No,
and
you'll be
ladders.
cleaning out the freezer with
Right, all the
dried hops.
All
or
the old
something.
hops.
Yeah.
Shoots
We can
and
make
loggers.
an old hop beer.
Ooh.
Shoots and loggers.
Whoa.
Can I just say we've had some amazing beers, amazing local beers on the show, and amazing beers not local too. But
Pennsylvania is underrated.
This is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, but I think only outside of Pennsylvania. I think everyone we've come across in our travels in the beer industry and the beer drinking world would say the same thing. Pennsylvania's awesome and great and underrated. But I don't think it's underrated by the people that are here.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
definitely not the people that are here.
Here.
Here,
Yes, this is
here.
Pros.
Here. Prost.
Prost. Cheers.
Cheers.
Das Vidania.
You guys are too far away.
Sláinte.
Wayne, I believe you spilled.
Yeah, I did. I don't know where I went, though.
Yeah, we've been traveling in some other states and just,
What's
like,
in another stain?
hey, I don't know, not much. Then we just try to go find some breweries and things, and it's just really gives you an appreciation for Pennsylvania, actually. I mean, even though we have some crazy laws here, it's just the amazing craft beer scene.
I drank in Utah this summer.
It's weird. I'm sorry.
How did you manage that?
I appreciate the beer was good.
Very
but,
carefully.
Man, you had to order food. They had
Yeah.
to be under a certain ABV. I mean, oh yeah, you're right. You think the laws are crazy here? You don't know until you go other places. It's really not that bad.
And it's gotten better and is getting
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I think all the time. And I think part of the reason is, and I think it comes back to the fact that there are so many great breweries in Pennsylvania that I think it's kind of dumb. Like, it's an economical
Yeah.
resource of the state. And I think that the government and the powers that be that create or at least have the power to change these laws are starting to see that they're holding back something that could be very positive for the state in general.
Yeah, it's a real genuine job creation.
Yeah.
And innovation. And, it's great to see the farms popping up to support it and the breweries, and then they hire staff on top of it, keeps more dollars in the town you live in rather than sending it to some brewery somewhere else or some state somewhere else. So.
And there's so many steps along the chain, from the hop farm
Yeah.
to a brewery to a bottle shop to a bar to, there's so many different places that it creates, opportunity and revenue and people.
And then you have breweries
Enjoying
like
things.
Trogs that become huge national breweries, but still, in the heart of it, they're all about being local, using Sunnybray hops, using Deer Creek malt. Like, they are huge.
Yeah.
But
Well, even the honey in their Mad Elf is local. I can't remember the name of the place.
Actually, it's from Carlisle.
It's from Carlisle.
Carlisle, sorry.
Carlisle.
Carlisle.
Come on, man, you live here.
Carlisle.
I'm not from here. I believe it. I think it's Tom Jones, the Happy Beekeeper.
Yes, that sounds right. Yes.
And,
yes.
and
It's not unusual.
They're not far from here, actually. So yeah, I mean, just to say, I mean, Trogs has been amazing to work with over the last couple of years. They've been very, very supportive, and it's just been great to get to know them and the other breweries in the area. Just that support has been so helpful and so encouraging.
Yeah, and there is a very interconnected community in Pennsylvania in the beer industry, which I think is part of the reason we've been able to be so successful doing this podcast.
Yes.
Because everybody knows everybody, and once you make friends with one person, you make a million other friends the
Yeah.
next day. It's
And
pretty
the only
awesome.
way out is a body bag.
Wow! Wow! That took a turn. Okay.
Because he has an empty beer glass.
All right, guys.
So, what's in the mason jar?
Oh, wow. There is a mason jar.
Well, anything.
It's a farm, so
yeah,
you
I mean,
can't have
you got to have something in a mason
right,
jar.
Right.
I respect that. I feel like it's going to be another stain.
It might be a little difficult to pour, yeah.
This might be the episode with more labeled stains than any other episode ever.
So this is actually a homebrew that we did here on the farm. Again, it's a coffee stout, and it uses Sunnybray hops, cluster, Chinook, and Cascade hops, and some fresh roasted coffee from Lincolnstown. This I just pulled out of the fermenter. It's not carved. I need to dry hop it, but it's almost done. It's about 5%.
Ooh, that smells good. Get a lot of the coffee, like, right up front in the aroma.
Did cold press coffee in the French press and added it right at flame out.
I've been after him to do something like this for a while, so I'm really happy so far.
But I'll dry hop it with 2 more ounces of hops for about 5 days, and then keg it, and we'll see.
Oh, my God. Oh, that's good. It's not. It's
I love the bitterness from the coffee.
it's a strong bitterness from it, but it's also kind of smooth.
It's cold.
Yeah,
too.
it's not harsh bitterness.
Yeah.
It's just the kind of bitterness
Like,
you want.
You get the. There are coffee beers out there and coffee stouts out there that will be like, oh, hey, there's the coffee right up front, and like you can't get it out of your mouth for like another 5 minutes. You can't get the taste going.
It's not the type of bitterness that would end a particularly jovial and friendly conversation with the phrase "the only way out is in a body bag."
Wow.
It's like a gang.
But it is delicious, and I love me some good coffee beers, and this is a great coffee beer. And I think with the dry hopping, and as it continues in the carbonation and everything, it's just
Don't
only
overcarb it.
Yeah,
I love-
definitely don't. You know, like this with on like nitro
Oh, yeah.
would
Ooh.
be spectacular.
Nice.
Make it happen.
Just for you.
Do it. Well, you know we're not leaving, right?
This is the first time I've ever done a coffee stout, and I mean it's looking good, so I'm happy. But yeah,
too.
it's great to be able to use 3 of the hops that I grew in this brew:
Oh, which ones did you use?
Cluster, Chinook,
should
and
know.
Cascade.
Okay.
So, how do you feel about your hops going into a beer like this where the malt and the coffee flavors are more forward and the hops are more in the background?
You know, I don't think every beer out there has to just be incredibly hoppy. I mean, it's great to explore the different styles, and if your hops can, or my hops in this case, can go to support other flavors to support, you know, just because maybe you feel like a stout, and maybe it's really cold out and rainy like today.
Sometimes you feel like a stout.
Sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you don't. Right.
So, I mean, yeah, I embrace harvest ales and non-harvest ales and stouts, and I'm a very equal opportunity beer enthusiast.
Yeah.
So it's great.
Because you don't often see like coffee stout featuring Sunnyberry hops. Usually it's harvest ale, IPA, pale ale, you know, but
Yeah.
hops are needed in all styles of beer.
So, slight correction. I said the coffee was from Lingelstown. Technically correct, but it was St. Thomas Roasters.
Aha.
Correction accepted.
My apologies.
Redacted.
Do you want to introduce this one?
I actually would. I'm very much looking forward to having this beer. This was a beer we sent Rich out to get for us when we were recording at Snitz Creek
Episode 16.
way back in episode 16.
So long ago.
Yeah, it was cold and it was 2014. I don't remember exactly.
There
when
was
it
I think
like
it
an
was
inch of ice in the parking lot.
January or February.
Yeah, so it was quite a while ago.
I think it actually says on here when it was bottled. Bottled January 14.
There you go. So that's when this beer was purchased. It was a limit of 2 bottles per person.
Hold on.
Nice. And we sent Rich out to get it for us while we were setting up at Snitz Creek
Thank you, Rich.
We tried not to tell Dan because we could only get 2
because we can only get 2 bottles.
Yeah, I didn't know about it till like a year later.
And look, we saved it.
Oh, thanks.
So Steph and I each got a bottle.
Jerks.
I, of course, because I have no self-control, drank mine within like the next week. But Steph managed to hold on to hers. So after this long and lengthy introduction, I will tell you that this is the Troganator from Trogs Barrel Aged. This is bourbon barrel aged
barrels.
Troganator. Troganator, I think, is one of my favorite beers. It's a great beer.
Doppelbock.
When I had it, when we first got it, I don't like barrel aged beers fresh out of the barrel, but I also like to drink beer when I have it, so I drank it right away. So I'm really excited to see now that it's had some time to cellar and mellow out. So cheers to you, cheers to me. Oh, it smells delicious.
It tastes so good.
It smells
It's still got the
boozy.
it's got the
It
bourbon
smells
boozy
syrupy.
character, but it's become more syrupy, I think. And this is comparing to when I drank it forever ago, but
Wow.
and
perfect.
sweeter in the aroma.
Yeah,
It's
and
perfect.
You don't get the heat out of the bourbon.
No, it's mellowed perfectly.
Oh my god,
Ooh,
this is great.
Wayne, was it you that liked the floaty bits in your beer?
I do like the floaty bits.
Have I got the glass for you?
I've got some floaty bits going on over here too.
Now this is so good.
Flocculation, I'll be back.
Oh my god.
It's so rich.
It is definitely, and this is again going from dim memory. It does seem more syrupy, a little more, not necessarily viscous in the mouthfeel, but it has like a viscous character
Yeah.
to the taste. If that makes any sense.
Oh, that's good.
But it is really good. I'm glad that one of us had the self-control to hold onto a bottle of this.
It helps that I have 3 fridges of
Yeah,
beer.
yeah, exactly.
So thank you for bringing it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Cheers.
Cheers,
Cheers.
to you.
Yes.
Cheers, cheers,
Yeah.
cheers all
Clinkety
around.
clink,
Clinky,
clink,
clinky
clink,
through the
clink.
air.
Don't break any glasses.
What we learned this year is that it takes an extremely long time to hand pick hops. And it takes, when the plants are fully mature, it takes about 1 hour per plant. Wow. So we have 2,000 plants, so that's 2,000 worker hours of picking hops. And to get them all picked at just the right time, at the peak of their maximum flavor and aroma, and get them to the breweries, what we really need to have is a mechanical harvester. So what we've decided, we looked at a wide range of mechanical harvesters, and what we decided was to get one that's being made in New York, specifically for small-scale hop yards like this. And it's called the Hopster 5P is the
Nice.
hop. But it costs about $25,000. So
Wow.
Yeah.
so we're looking at starting a Kickstarter campaign, and we've been talking to some great partners that we've been working with over the last couple of years. So we're going to have some rewards tied in with local breweries like Trogs and ABC, Appalachian Brewing Company. And then Molly Pitcher is also offering a reward. They're offering the experience of being a brewer for a day.
Nice.
Oh, cool.
That's
So-
a pretty awesome reward.
So one of the rewards will be you can come in and shadow a brewer and see how they brew a whole batch for a day. With Trogs, we're going to have an on-farm dinner, basically.
Oh, that's cool.
Appalachian Brewing Company will do Artie Tafoya and I will brew a batch with Sunnybray hops, fresh hops, and then we'll have another dinner at an ABC location where Artie and I can both talk to the folks that have participated in the Kickstarter about the science and art of brewing and hop growing, and they can have a Q&A session and so forth with that. And then we're going to offer a homebrewer package in collaboration with Deer Creek Malt as well, where we'll offer Sunnybray hops and Deer Creek Malt in a homebrew package with a recipe, and send that out to homebrewers so they can have a chance to try local hops and local malt.
That's a really cool
That's
idea. I like that.
awesome.
Yeah, that's really neat.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and we have other options too, like just
Swag.
swag and like naming a row of hops or naming the harvester, or we'll have a whole bunch of different
Naming
things.
the harvester?
Oh,
Yeah.
boy.
Just excited about that one.
But so the Kickstarter is live, and we'll obviously link to it from beerbusterspodcast.com. But when does it close?
We'll probably be closing around the 1st of November.
Okay. So still a little bit of time to go.
Yeah, so just check it out and check out the rewards, and we'll have a nice little video sort of describing who we are and what the hop yard's like, and have a description there that you can read. And just appreciate any support that anyone can offer, even if it's just forwarding it on to someone else that may be interested. That's great.
Right. And I imagine that's going to be posted big all over the front of your website, Sunnybray, which is sunnybrayhops.com.
SunnybrayHops.com.
So go to sunnybrayhops.com. It'll take you to the Kickstarter. Go to Kickstarter, search for Sunnybray Hops. Throw lots of money at you for awesome things and get awesome things in return.
Yes. It'll be on our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram as well. So, any support would be very much appreciated. So,
Yeah, and just the idea of being able to drink more of these harvest ales at
Yes.
these local breweries. Get out there and try these beers with Sunnybray hops, and you will want to pour your money into this Kickstarter because we want to keep having beers
And if
like
nothing
this,
else, you
especially
can
in
name
Pennsylvania.
the harvester.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
They should be able to name a beer. You need to add that as a reward. Name a beer.
Let's do it.
Name
At
a
Molly's
harvest-
picture.
Molly
Name
Pitcher
of beer.
has agreed.
you heard it here first. Breaking news. Name a harvest ale using Sunnybray hops at Molly Pitcher.
Maybe it could be the one that you helped brew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Even better.
So you could be a brewer for the day, or you could be the brewer for a day on a harvest ale day. That would be epic.
So Steph is currently opening the. Ooh, there it went. The next, and if I'm not mistaken, last beer for the evening. And apparently the cork smells good.
It smells good.
And this is a gift
This
is a
was a
gift.
gift.
Was this
to us from our good friend,
Joe Man?
Joe Man.
Joe Man, thank
Joe
you.
Man. Hey, Joe Man.
Our number one fan.
Joe
Our
Man.
number one fan, Joe Man.
the number one fan.
Sent us some pretty awesome beers.
Ooh, look
And
at-
this is
look at
Steph.
the 4. Yes. What is this beer that we are about to?
This is Hardywood Park Craft Brewery. Their Bourbon Barrel GBS, which is their gingerbread stout aged in bourbon whiskey barrels. 10.6% ABV, because this is how we do. And thank you, Joe Man.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, that pours so nicely.
I don't know Joe Mann, but I do like him.
He is a fan that's been listening since the beginning from the Richmond, Virginia area. And we actually met him. He was up in the area about a year and a half ago. And we met him and his family at Victory on my birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
Nice.
pretty awesome.
What
and
is
he
that?
gave us beer then too.
What is that I'm getting in the smell?
Gingerbread.
It's all the gingerbread
Yep.
spices, yeah.
Wow.
No,
Vanilla,
there's something else
nutmeg.
there. There's something else there besides that.
Fruity Pebbles.
Not Fruity Pebbles, no.
Tricks?
Fruit Loops.
Marshmallows.
Marshmallows, eh?
No, I'm serious. I just got like a whiff of marshmallows.
Well, thank you for sharing your gift.
And it's really
So
awesome.
it says our Hardywood gingerbread
God.
stout, described by Beer Advocate as Freegan Christmas in a bottle,
Yeah.
is an
Yeah.
imperial milk stout with vanilla bean, cinnamon, fresh baby ginger, wildflower honey. It's mature. This gingerbread stout is matured in bourbon whiskey barrels, where it adapts an incredibly mellow character with oak, caramel, and bourbon undertones, and emerges 12 weeks later as bourbon barrel GBS. Festive blend of spice character laces this rich chocolatey stout, which warms the palate. And
I thought you were going to say warms
soul.
the cockles of the heart.
It warms the cockles of the heart. It says it's best enjoyed at 50 degrees.
And with cool people.
Yes.
Well, cool people check.
When I die, can you bury me in this?
In GBS.
Wait, do you want that in the body bag with you, or?
Should we pour it down your throat?
No, like actually bury me in the beer. Like,
That's a waste of beer.
no, it's not.
Can't you just pour some like on the ground, like
You probably
one
could.
for your homies?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea. We're going to do that.
Yes. And then we'll drink the rest. Be like, this one's for
And
Dan.
actually, we're not even going to do that because you'll be dead and you'll never know.
That's true.
We'll just pretend.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll know. He'll come back and haunt us.
It's sort of like a sweet, sort of like bourbony flavor at first, and then it's just like gingerbread, like
It's
down,
so good.
like
And
finish.
I have a huge sweet tooth. I love all things sweet and not good for you, and this just is so delicious.
There is a habanero GBS. Come on, Joe
God.
Man.
What? No.
Oh wow!
There is habanero GBS.
No.
Was it like a one-time
I
thing,
need
or
it.
is it
I need it.
regularly
I
produced?
need it.
How have we not said hops rule?
There it is.
There you go.
I knew you were close.
We have to, right? I mean,
We've had far too many beers for me to even think about asking favorites, so we're
We haven't
skipping
done that
over
in a
that. I
while.
know, and
No.
there's a reason we haven't, so it's still not happening. But at least I recognize that
This was a solid lineup of
this
beers.
was a fantastic lineup of beers. There was not a bad one to the bunch. Every one of them showed so well what you can do with the different ingredients of the beer, from the different hops that were fresh hop to shut up, Steph. All right,
All of them were made with
All of
water,
them were made with
barley,
stuff.
hops, and yeast.
No, I see where you were going. It was
yeah.
good. It
Thanks
was
for
good.
thanks for you know.
It was
I'm
good.
sorry. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
You both suck.
Start over.
Yeah,
No, I'm just gonna
I
keep
like how
going.
I got yelled at. You were equally to blame.
I'm just gonna keep going. So obviously we want to promote that Kickstarter for you, because that's
Yes,
awesome.
for
So
sure.
make sure, if you're able, or somebody who would be interested in it, pass the word along. You have until November 1st. It was right.
Ish.
Give or take.
Ish. Yeah. First of
basically,
November, somewhere.
The sooner you do it, the better.
Absolutely.
And you might be able to name it. You never know. Or a beer at Molly Pitcher. So there's always that option too. But make sure you do that. Now, if anybody's looking to find you guys online, where can they connect with Sunny Bray?
We're on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and at sunnybrayhops.com.
Are the Twitter and such just Sunny Bray Hops?
At Sunny Bray Hops.
Fair enough.
Facebook.com/Sunny Bray Hops.
Cool. And everything you need will, of course, be linked from beerbusterspodcast.com. Man, this is going to be a sad one, but you know what that means. Guys, thank you so much for having us out here. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to have you out.
Thanks for
thank you very
the
much.
the chili and cookies.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for all of that, too. And Zach, thanks for joining us for this episode, too.
Absolutely.
It was cool to have the perspective of somebody who uses their hops professionally to sell beers. It's great.
Keep making harvest ale.
Yes.
We'll do. Need more hops.
Need more hops. Get on it.
Hops roll.
Hops roll. Hops roll. Well, man, it's been fun. I'm Dan Baker, joined as always by my co-host and virologist,
Steph Hefner.
and our fermenter-tainer,
Wayne Baker.
Squids.
Flocculation. I'll be back.